All right, hello everyone. Welcome to another wonderful edition here of Level Up Mental Health. My name is Swizz, here to present another glorious topic for y'all to indulge here. This first one that we'll cover here in our stream, if you're watching the stream, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, Level Up Mental Health Gaming with Swizz here. First one here is a great, something we tend to not really think too hard about, right? It's certain things where you often feel it's just kind of getting things done, right? We can define it as routines, right? Things that we do kind of over and over again to kind of help prepare us for the day or the evening or whatever it is, right? We might have particular idiosyncratic kind of rituals to help us get through, to prep us for what we need for the day, right? The thing about this, though, is sometimes it can be hard to go through these routines, right? Especially if we're looking at mental health, with the intensity of symptoms of depression, anxiety, whatever it is, that really just prevents us from wanting to achieve that, right? And often with that too, one of the things that really just kind of lumps in with, even if we're looking at motivation, right? Let's say there's a lack of motivation to complete a routine in that sense as well. A lot of the time, it can be viewed as being described as being lazy, right? And there was, I forget who kind of shared this with me. It was a few years at a job I had, where the insight was that there's never anyone who is lazy, right? And the reason for that is because there's always a particular barrier that's preventing that individual to achieve what they want to achieve, right? Which really kind of rung true because when you think about it, right, there's a reason where being able to kind of get a routine or get some things done may be difficult, whether you're just physically tired or mentally drained or the work is a lot or you're dealing with kids, whatever it is, right? Um, those are kind of the reasons that is preventing the ability to, let's say, to have any motivation to completing a routine or something like that, right? So I always like kind of mentioning that because I think that's important as we dive into how to kind of really have that well established routine that we're looking for. And again, there's going to be a lot of factors involved, right? When we're looking at anxiety, depression, really can prevent our ability to achieve that consistency of the routine. But hopefully through this video, you'll be able to learn a few tips and tricks to help you kind of get through that. All right. So let's dive into our little worksheet here, as we always do. Let me just pull up my wonderful window, and here we are. We're at a daily routine. Well, I'm at a daily routine. You're not. Now you are. At the what it's going to help for a daily routine. So, obviously, again, kind of like what I was saying at the beginning, we get busy, stop prioritizing habits for success, right? And as we have identified already, a lot of that is for some particular barriers. We just get tired, we're drained, whatever it is, right, from work, prevents our ability to, keep that consistency going, right? So what's important to kind of look at is if we are trying to metaphorically get back on the horse of certain things, we can go through a few skills here to help us be able to get those pesky routines done, right? So let's kind of go through a few of these strategies here, and we'll hopefully be able to really just kind of recognize. Well, we'll go through the one strategy here and recognize again like what we can do to kind of help out, right? Well, there is a few. Okay, backing up. I'll explain why. So let's start with the first one of looking at if we're wanting to establish a routine. And let's just kind of have the general example of we want to be out the door and work by 8:30 or something, 8:30 in the morning, right? And when you're looking at that, you have to kind of bring in everything that you feel you need in order to get out the door for work at 8:30. Is that waking up on it at a particular time? Is it brushing teeth? Is it eating a good breakfast? If you have kids, is it getting their stuff prepared, right? What are the things that are encompassing your kind of routine, or what is in your morning that we can organize into a particular routine that we're looking for, right? And one of the examples we could do that is just being able to kind of write down the tasks that we need to get done. So that's where this strategy comes in of writing down a morning routine, afternoon routine, evening routine, and again, be able to kind of identify what are those areas. And from there, we craft our ability to create that routine. So, as mundane as it may be, waking up is the first task of like a morning routine, right? Waking up at 6 o'clock could be kind of the main thing. So if you're writing that down, you could do a step in order to do that. Set alarm for 5:55 or something if you know you tend to snooze. And then from there, if you feel, it's even hard to kind of get out of bed, focus on where this next strategy comes of habit stacking, right? So let's say if you have the routine of, we'll just kind of type it out here, waking up, drinking coffee, eating breakfast, brushing teeth, and I don't know. If you wanted, we could do kind of a workout in that sense as well too, right? Let's say that these are kind of the 5 tasks that we have here that we want to get done, right? So obviously, we can kind of write down and say like, okay, like what is needed for me to wake up? What is needed for me to get to the part of drinking coffee? What is it needed for me to get to eat breakfast? Like how long is that going to take? Brushing teeth, when should we do this? Working out, should we do this in the morning, in the afternoon, whatever, right? You're kind of writing the list of the things you need to get done. And what the next step here is that if you're looking at this and be like, oh man, this is a lot to kind of get done in terms of kind of that motivation aspect, that's where habit stacking comes into play up here, right? Being able to break it down of the tiny little steps that we need in order to achieve that part of the routine, right? Now, I always reference this, and it is silly as it is. If you have seen the movie What About Bob, I think it's Richard Dreyfuss is the foil to Bill Murray in that, where he's the psychiatrist, and one of the things that he builds upon, it kind of really develops his mainstream business, is this book that's called Baby Steps, where you're taking kind of the baby steps towards getting a goal done, and even Bill Murray kind of emulates that in the movie. So recommend it. It's a great one, very hilarious. But what's funny about that movie is that there is a really important kind of part there of the baby steps aspect, meaning that let's say you have a really intense kind of depressive episode that's really preventing you to just feel like it's a lot of energy to wake up or to kind of get out of bed, whatever it is, right? The goal of habit stacking is be able to kind of tell yourself, okay, what is needed for me to wake up? Okay, so maybe I need to open my eyes. So let's open my eyes. Okay, cool. So now I was able to open my eyes. Let's try to sit up, right? Like you're breaking down that whole action of waking up into step-by-step tinier goals to help us achieve what we need to achieve, right? And the whole purpose of that is that kind of self-motivation, knowing that, hey, if I can do this, then I can do the next part of what's needed to achieve this goal, right? And you can think of waking up as kind of that moderate goal that we're looking for, and the tiny goals are the steps that's going to lead us to wake up, right? Do we define waking up as being completely out of bed, right? So how do we define what waking up is? Being able to kind of really operationalize is key. So, think about kind of what your routine is and think about what are the tiny goals that you need to kind of get there in order to achieve that success. Okay. So, that's how kind of habit stacking is as we're reviewing the morning, afternoon, and evening routines, kind of do those things as well. And some good kind of self-reflection questions here of what are some things you could see affecting your habits? What are some variables that's going to lead to preventing you to achieve kind of your routine? Are these habits that you have, are there external or internal forces that's preventing you to do these things? So again, really kind of a good way to self-reflect about your routines and the impact that they have. And like I said, the important thing to take away is the fact that, it's not that you don't want to do these things, right? Everyone wants to have a consistent routine. Everyone wants to be able to ensure we can kind of do the things that we want to do, right? The important thing to recognize with that is that it may be difficult to develop that. There's multiple kind of variables that are into play. And if we can try to focus on developing kind of the smaller steps, or kind of even writing out a list of the things that we need to do, what barriers are going to prevent it, it may help us develop that consistent routine. And like I said earlier, in the fact that it's not due to that you're lazy, right? Lazy is a word that can be kind of thrown out in a sense, because again, the idea and the desire to do those things are there. It's just the difficulty in getting there, whether if it's mental illness or other factors involved, that's preventing you to develop that consistency. So hopefully these strategies will get you from point A to point B, and develop a more consistent routine. So hopefully you enjoyed the video here. If you're watching YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out the other videos. We're still going through Psychonauts. If you're on the stream, thanks for watching. We'll continue our next video here. So see you all in a bit.